Aston Villa qualify for the Champions League this upcoming season, and Unai Emery has got them playing some fantastic football. However, this summer they sold two of their best players, and although the signings that have been coming in have been good, their squad is going to have to improve massively if they want to compete for the Champions League. But my goal for this video is to get Aston Villa to lift the Champions League trophy, which they actually did back in 1982. But the Aston Villa board are kind of happy with Unai Emery and they don't want me to take over their club. However, I do have a solution, because for every game in the Champions League that Aston Villa win, I am going to steal from that side that they beat and put them in the Aston Villa side. So for instance, if Aston Villa beat Real Madrid at some point, they could steal former Birmingham City player Jude Bellingham. And our goal is to keep going until Aston Villa lift the Champions League. We just got to hope that they keep qualifying for the competition. Because if they do fail to qualify for the Champions League, we'll be forced to release their best player each time. So let's take a look at the Aston Villa squad as well as the fixtures for the Champions League for Unai Emery. Now, this Aston Villa team is good, but it's not fantastic. And Unai Emery in Football Manager is adopting a 4-2-4, but even the likes of Onana isn't registered for Champions League games, I don't think, and that's kind of worrying. So we'll have to see where the weaknesses are. If we win a game, then we can kind of capitalise and fill that void. Now, our fixtures are in. We're in the 3rd of September. We haven't played a game in the Champions League yet, but our first game is Athletic Bilbao. Then we've got the likes of Lask. You should be beating Lask, really. Liverpool is going to be an interesting one because that can actually even help our Premier League campaign so that we qualify for the Champions League next season. Sevilla should be a winnable game, possibly. Legia Warszawa definitely. Rennes, well, probably won't steal any players from there. Inter Milan and Ajax, though, two very interesting sides. Let's kick it off with the Bilbao game. Now, Unai Emery switched things up for the game against Bilbao, went for a 4-2-3-1 and got the job done. The first victory is in the bag, and I think it's very obvious the player that we're going to be pinching from Athletic Bilbao. Nico Williams is an unbelievable player with a great potential on the game, so he's going to be the first signing that we're going to make for Aston Villa, thanks to this weird rule that we're having where if you beat the team, you get to steal the player. So now that Nico is an Aston Villa player, I definitely think that's an improvement because, I mean, on that right-hand side, we've got Leon Bailey. He is currently injured. Is he injured for a while? Not too worried, but Buendia was actually playing there quite a lot. So I'd rather have either Buendia sat in the middle and then have Nico Williams on the right, Bailey on the left, and then we don't have to play John McGinn out on the left. You can play there, just he's not a winger, is he? Now, I've just gone past the following game for Aston Villa, and I noticed that Nico Williams didn't play. Then I remembered, well, he's not going to be registered for that fixture. Currently, he is unregistered to play in that Champions League game. So what I've allowed to do is allow registration for any time. So hopefully, they can still register him for the Champions League as well. That's what I'm hoping, fingers crossed. However, the game actually had just happened, and they did win 1-0. They've loaned Dominic Solanke because technically, obviously, because of the database, he'd be at Spurs, but they don't really want him. So he scored and missed a penalty, which means they beat Lask. So now we've got to find a player from Lask that we can steal. And then there's going to be a Panamanian player, Andrade, who kind of plays left centre back or left back. So I thought that's kind of a handy player. He's not too bad either. So he is now an Aston Villa player as well. Bro, I don't know how Unai Emery is doing this, but they dominated Liverpool in the Champions League and got a 1-0 win with Dominic Solanke scoring again, which is mental. Now, Nico Williams didn't play. I've just checked he's not even on the bench, but he did play in a recent Premier League game. So what I'm hoping is that when they get to February and they can register other Champions League, then he can get put into the lineup, as well as a player that we're going to steal from Liverpool. Who might that be? I mean, in my mind, it's kind of an obvious choice. As long as he hasn't got... No, it's not too bad of an injury. It's got to be Mo Salah, right? He can play up front. He can play from the right wing. I know we've just added a right winger, but come on, it's Mo Salah. We've got to add Mo Salah to Aston Villa. I'm looking at these fixtures now, and I'm thinking, is there anybody that Aston Villa cannot beat? I mean, even in the Premier League, they're sat in 3rd place after 9 games. They're doing really well. They've lost 1 so far to Coventry, who went up because it's the weird database. Maybe Inter Milan? We'll have to find out. The winning run stopped at Sevilla, but we did get 2 more against Legia Warszawa and Rennes. And so the 2 players I'm stealing is Cloud Gonçalves from Legia and Amin Gori from Rennes. My biggest concern now, however, is just Aston Villa qualifying for the Champions League next season. Theoretically, they are still well in contention of doing so. They're only 2 points behind third and even only 3 points behind second. It's just that fear right now they're in 6th place and would have to be releasing a player, probably Mo Salah. Oh, twice Aston Villa was in the lead against Inter Milan, but they failed to pick up the win. An 86th minute equaliser from Taremi means we cannot steal an Inter Milan player. The good news is, though, is Mohamed Salah did play in this game. So it is possible for them to play halfway through the season and for him to register them. That's good to know. What's also good news is Aston Villa have already qualified for the knockout stages of the Champions League. And in fact, not even in the playoff round. They go straight to the round of 16. Which means if they win just one of those games, we can steal possibly a very good player. We've still got Ajax remaining though. Who will we steal from there? Maybe a Jordan Henderson? Oh, but it's another great performance from Aston Villa. This is our competition. And who are we going to steal? Well, straight away, I'm looking at the team that they're playing, and there's a weakness in centre midfield, and there's a weakness at left back. Now, centre midfield for Ajax has a couple of good players, but left back has a phenomenal one in Uriel Hato, so I think that is a very obvious choice to steal for Aston Villa as we go through to the knockout stages to see what Unai Emery can do in that. In the round of 16, it's a big one. It's Barcelona, but the first leg has ended in a 0-0 at the Nou Camp, which, I'm not being funny, is pretty good really, isn't it? In terms of progression through to the next round, that is really good. Now, Nico Williams is playing on the left, Salah's playing on the right. This team is class. Uriel Hato, is he even on the bench yet? He's not. Amin Gori is, though. Oh, he is on the bench. There he is. So they still prefer Moreno over Uriel Hato. And in the league, they are into 4th place, which is Champions League football and getting a bit of a gap. 5 points clear. Things are looking up. Things are definitely looking up for Aston Villa. And oh my word, we get to steal a player from Barcelona after a 3-2 win at Villa Park. Nico Williams getting the winner, who is very heavily linked with a move to Barcelona too, might I add. Now, I'm looking at the side and our strike force is looking phenomenal right now. There is a weakness in that centre mid. I do believe they've got the likes of Frankie de Jong. That could be a huge option. But also Konsa is good. It's not amazing. And they've got Ronald Araujo, who, to be honest, I personally think is one of the best centre-backs on the game. Do we go for Ronald Araujo? Do we go for Frankie de Jong? I'm so confused on what to go. I think we be smart and go for Ronald Araujo. I think there's going to be opportunities to upgrade that centre mid with a better player than Frankie de Jong. But there isn't many better centre backs than Ronald Araujo. And him at Aston Villa could be amazing. This is becoming already a very good team and we're in year 1. Oh, but the draw for the Champions League has put Aston Villa against another Premier League side in Arsenal. And where are they in the Premier League? Oh, they're a position below us. Now, we're doing very well. Like, since we've had a few additions, we're actually pushing close to a title finish, so which is amazing, obviously. But yeah, Arsenal could still be tricky across 2 legs. If we get to steal one of their players, I don't know who I'd pick. Now, I can't believe what I'm seeing. But Arsenal just destroyed Aston Villa in the quarterfinal second leg. 6-0. 6. But what I would say is we did win the first leg 2-0. So we do get to steal a player. And I think we're going to take El Capitano Declan Rice. I mean, it's a consolation because we are out of the Champions League for this season. And now we need to make sure we qualify, because we need to make sure we keep hold of all of these good players in season number 2. That's when we really push for that Champions League trophy. Aston Villa right now, though, they're sat in 2nd place. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Man City screw up so much that they could win the title. I take that back. They actually won the league by 10 points. We still finish in 3rd, though. That's qualification for the Champions League. We've got to be very happy with that. Which this season was won with Arsenal, despite not having Declan Rice going into those semi-finals and the finals. But it's all about next year for Aston Villa. It's the start of the new season. Unai Emery is sold Mohamed Salah to Al Nassr. So that was kind of a wasted pick, right? I mean, a couple of them actually went. Claude Gonzalez also went out, but we're not too worried about that. Or Andrade, really. But he did bring in some players. I mean, Boadu's come in, Paulinho as well. Solanke was actually made a permanent transfer as well. It doesn't matter. But we've got the start of the we've got the start of the Champions League fixtures for next season. There's some big clubs in here. Juve, PSG, Atalanta maybe has some good players. Atletico Madrid could steal some quality signings here. Fortunately, though, we can't take a Juventus player. We only drew 0-0 with them. But the team is looking still good despite losing Mohamed Salah. I'm questioning the decision of playing Paulinho up front, though, when we have the likes of Ollie Watkins just sat on the bench when he was like the Premier League's top scorer last season. Why aren't we playing Ollie Watkins instead? Declan Rice in the team, though. Araujo's still there, too, as is Hato. Delo is even at right back. So this is a better looking Aston Villa side than what we started off with. And not that I was planning on really looking forward to stealing a Panathinaikos player, but we couldn't anyway because they beat us 3-1 at Villa Park in a game which, to be fair, Villa did dominate. But wow, I mean, this would have been the guy that I would have stolen because he's a very good striker, and we could have done with that if we're still playing Paulinho up front. He's okay. It's just I don't understand why you play him instead of Ollie Watkins, really. And it has not been a good start for Aston Villa in the Champions League this season because another home fixture, and we only managed a draw against Monaco. Again, Monaco don't have the best players, but it would have just been nice to have the option to steal one. We go into PSG next, and it's another home fixture. Now, that is a big one. But again, we're not having much fun this season. Another draw. That was actually a late draw that we kind of salvaged too against PSG, and the Champions League phase is not going very well for us right now. Where are Aston Villa? We're not yet down 28th. We need some wins. We haven't got one win yet this season in the Champions League. We need some wins if we want to progress, but unfortunately we've got Atalanta next, and they've already won 2 of their games. Oh, it's not looking good, boys. It's a loss to Atalanta. We're playing terribly too. What is happening to Unai Emery? 2-0 to Atalanta. I think our Champions League campaign is gone. Thankfully, we're still doing all right in the Premier League. 26 points. We should be still qualifying for the Champions League if we could just carry on with that type of form. We're only 12 games in. We're not winning many players. But hold the phone because Unai Emery is back. This is 3 fantastic wins. We beat Besiktas 2-0. We beat Roma 1-0. And Atletico Madrid in Madrid 2-1. We've qualified for the knockout playoffs, which means another chance to steal a couple of players and still another chance of winning that Champions League trophy. So we had to steal 3 players, one from Besiktas, and I picked Ali Al-Mazrati. We are kind of light in that centre midfield spot. He's kind of like a good backup, I think, for Declan Rice, so that's a good option. I think the only other players that they had was like Michy Batshuayi, who's a little bit too old for my liking. Then I went for Matheus Sule from Roma. This little gem is a cracking wonder kid on Football Manager, so he still has some way to develop too, and he can play on the right-hand side or play in the middle, kind of like an upgrade to Buendia. He's also Argentinian, so he's kind of like a younger version, left-footed too. And then finally, you just know, I had to steal Samu Omarodion, the beast, from Atletico Madrid. This one is my favourite one. I was so pleased when I seen him still at the club. And he's a better striker than Paulinho. So please, Unai Emery, stick him in the team up front with Ollie Watkins and we'll just score. Just goals, 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 goals. That's what Samu does. The team, unfortunately, that we've been drawn against in the knockout playoff round of the Champions League is Stuttgart. I say unfortunately because they probably don't have players that will go straight into our first team, but it is another team that we could potentially beat quite easily. And that is exactly what happened. A 1-0 win in the second leg, secured a 4-3 victory in total. So looking at Stuttgart's side then, you kind of think, well, there's some good players, then there's some great players who will be good in the future, and Dennis Seaman is one of those players. Emi Martinez is kind of old now, maybe this is going to be a good backup, so I think we steal him just on the off chance that we are still knocking around trying to win the Champions League in 3 or 4 years time. I think that's a wise choice. But is it time for redemption? Because Aston Villa have Arsenal in the round of 16. Of course, the side that knocked us out after beating us 6-0 in the second leg in the quarterfinal last season. And the holders of the Champions League, let's not forget. It went to penalties, but Aston Villa have progressed through to the quarterfinals. And they got a victory over Arsenal, which means we do get to steal another one of their players. Now we've Jurgen Klopp's the manager. What? But there's the player I'd like to steal. We've just lost Mohamed Salah from that right wing, and now we're going to gain Bukayo Saka. And that is a very much worthy replacement, and he looks good in claret and blue. Oh, there's so many big teams left in the Champions League, and we get Monaco. I mean, the only good thing is that we do stand a chance now of winning and going into the semi-final. You just want some of the big teams to hopefully just pinch one of their players, like a Man City or a PSG. Yo, we keep relying on penalties. It's another penalty win. However, we didn't beat Monaco in either of the games. We drew 2-2 and 3-3, so we don't even get to steal one of their players. But we do go into the semi-final, which then puts us in a very good spot to go on and win this whole thing. But we got PSG in the semi-final. That is going to be an interesting task. Now, they've got some great players. They do have some phenomenal ones, and obviously they've got the likes of Jamal Musiala, who they bought recently. Warren Zaïre-Emery is another cracking player. Would look great alongside Declan Rice. Jamal Musiala would look unbelievable in that centre attack midfield or from that left midfield position. But we got to beat them first. Damn. Wasn't to be this year. 3-0 in the first leg, 0-0 in the second leg. We didn't even get to steal a player. But Aston Villa in the Premier League are still en route to qualifying for that Champions League next season. So we might not have to release a player, and we might just make it another year to try and win the Champions League in Season 3. Now, it's a third place finish at the end of the season, again for Aston Villa, which means Champions League football. Happy days. Now, the Champions League this year, as we've seen when we were eliminated from the semi-final, was PSG in the final, and they faced Real Madrid and lost. We're still yet to face Real Madrid. Maybe we'll face them in the league phase in season number 3. It's another season where Aston Villa are selling a player that we've given to them, and that is Nico Williams. He's gone to Manchester City for £68 million. Developed quite well as well. That's a shame. But I guess he's natural on the right-hand side. We already brought in a right-sided player in Bukayo Saka. He was just also playing on the left. However, there are some players that's come in that Unai Emery has signed, and I think, hello, that's a really good signing. Now, at the end of the season, he bought Anthony Robinson. He's not a bad left back, not an amazing one, and Rafael Morin, who is a okay centre back. And then he all of a sudden just went and signed some really good players. So Elias Soler is a cracking right back, honestly. Diogo Costa, like one of the best goalkeepers in world football, in Football Manager now, and Theo Hernandez, who's arguably one of the best left backs on the game. So this team is unbelievable now. We've got Uriel Hato still in the side, so that's amazing. The centre midfield is kind of the only spot now where I'm looking at it going, we're kind of struggling there a little bit, but we've got some cracking options. Some really good options going into the Champions League this season. Speaking of which, we've got our fixtures in already. Galatasaray, Man City, maybe we can win Nico Williams back. That would be quite funny. We could also get revenge on PSG, but it's kind of like a very tame Champions League phase, I think. So we'll have to see how this one goes. Kicking things off with a win against Galatasaray. So we're going to steal Demiral from them, as I think that's probably the best player in their side that would suit us right now. However, we then lost to Manchester City, who have Mbappe as well as Erling Haaland now, so that's okay. And just in case you're curious, Mbappe moved for just £263 million. Oh dear, it's not looking good. It's another loss at home as well to Borussia Dortmund. I mean, what is happening? The team that we are putting onto the field should be beating this Borussia Dortmund side. I'm not being funny. Alright, our defense isn't amazing, but we have still... I mean, where's some of the players gone? Where's Ronald Araujo gone? He's still at the club. He's just injured. He's injured recently. He's not out for too long. We really need to start beating these bigger teams. Okay, finally, we managed to win again. Quite comfortably, too, against Antwerp in the Champions League, which means we get to steal a player, and this is the man I want to steal. Bali Quisha? Probably not how you say it, but he looks a good player anyway, and he can play out on that left-hand side, so it's another option for Aston Villa for there and up front. This is an even better win though. 3-1 win against Benfica in Lisbon. My only concern is that a lot of the players have already left Benfica by the looks of it, by the looks of their first 11. Roger Smith is still their manager, their key player. is Trubin, and we've just got Diogo Costa, so I don't really think we need to get their goalkeeper. Sheldrop, we've literally just picked a left midfielder. Come on, like, surely there's somebody... I mean, all the good players have gone, haven't they? Let's face it, all of their fantastic players have gone. Am I just going to have to pick Sheldrop as just another option? David Neres isn't bad. Got a bit of flair about him. Morata could be an option. Centre-back, could play centre midfield. Don't think there's any other choice, really. Samu's decent, but to be fair, Florentino Luis or Samu could be a good choice. I'm going to go with Samu, who's slightly younger and kind of more of a ball-winning midfielder. Somebody I didn't expect to pick from Benfica for Aston Villa, but there we go. But it's the big one up next. It's PSG. We could be witnessing the season of a lifetime, Aston Villa fans, because it's a 2-0 win against PSG, and we get to steal a player. Oh my God, there's some unbelievable talents here. I mean, Manuel Ugate's class as their key player. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but when you see the likes of Jamal Musiala in the side, or Warren Zaire-Emery, who I actually personally think is better centre midfielder than Ugarte, then that's a tough one. Javi Simmons is looking quite good too, but is he better than Jamal Musiala? Some would say yes. But then I look at our side and I'm thinking, well, what are we weak in? Maybe I need to focus on that. I mean, right now it's probably centre midfield. John McGinn is in there with Declan Rice. If we could get somebody who's a little bit better than that, then maybe there are some good options that they have on the bench. Samuel Marodion and Ollie Watkins have been quite good up front, to be fair. Like, we haven't really noticed them not score enough goals. And what you also will realise is that we're in December and Villa are currently top of the league by a point. So they're doing something right. Defensively, it's quite strong. The right back maybe is an option. Jamal Musiala is at more of a waste when we could get Zaire-Emery, who I actually think is probably going to be a better choice. He does look phenomenal, doesn't he? I think it's got to be Zaire-Emery. I'm going for it. I'm hooked, and we're in for Zaire-Emery as the player we are stealing from PSG. What's happened to Wires? Resigned. What? Where's he gone? He's the manager of Spain. Unai Emery has left the club. Adam Underwood is now in charge just for the last 11 days. But who's Aston Villa going to have as their new manager? This could literally make or break the challenge. Come on. We didn't need this right now. We've got such a good run in the Champions League. Although, I mean, it was after the 11th. No, it was on the 11th. He left the same day as a game, which they lost at Villa Park. We beat Wolfsburg. We had to pinch a Wolfsburg player, but I've got bigger problems in my hands right now. There's no manager. Shall I? No. Whoever Aston Villa picks shall be the chosen one. I mean, the guy who I picked from Wolfsburg for Aston Villa is going to be Bissek. I mean, he's quite a good defender, to be fair, so it was an obvious choice. They only finished in 10th place, too, with 15 points, so they've got to play in the playoff. We know how that went last time. We managed to get through it quite comfortably, and now they've got an even better side, so I've got no, worries that they won't make it past that point. Adam Underwood is still in charge. I don't know whether they're going to keep him as some kind of interim. Oh, he is as well to the end of the season. I was really hoping that wasn't the case, because they've actually started falling off as well as a club. Like, they're down to 3rd now in the Premier League since Unai Emery left, and not done too well, if I'm honest. However, they have played the playoff in the Champions League. It was Celtic, and they finally won. So they pitched one of Celtic's players under Brendan Rodgers. Now, they got an okay team. Matt O'Reilly seems to be an obvious pick. I'll just have a quick look at the rest of the squad, just in case anybody really stands out. Lucas Digne's in there, funny enough. Scott McTominay, maybe. It would... that was a joke. That was a joke. Iwata, Kobayashi, no. I think Matt O'Reilly probably is going to be the one, right? Adam Ida? No, it's Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly, it's an easy one. The next round was another team that we actually lost against earlier on in the season, 3-0 to Dortmund. We beat them this time round, 5-1 at home, which meant the second leg was kind of pointless. We lost 1-0 there. We get to steal a player. Karim Adeyemi is probably the guy I'm going to take. I mean, there's a lot of options, really, when you look at it, but in terms of what we are going to be using, I think Karim Adeyemi is the obvious option for us. Let's go with Karim Adeyemi. It's a kind of an obvious pick. They've kind of been decimated a little bit recent years, so there isn't many options, but Adeyemi's a good one. That is unfortunately where our season has come to an end, though, because the quarter-final of the Champions League, we come up against Bayern Munich and lost both legs. 1-0, 2-0. No players to be added there. And it's a season where Aston Villa finished in 3rd place again. We had a title run, but unfortunately, I don't think the board really made a good decision. However, Luis Enrique bringing in as manager after Adam Underwood might be a very good decision because, I mean, he's just left PSG. We did steal one of their players recently too in Zaire Emery. That is a really good manager to bring in, right? I mean, that could be a Premier League winning manager and a Champions League winning manager next season. Speaking of the Champions League, who went on to win it this season? So it was Real Madrid. They beat Manchester City in the final. That's the level we got to get to, but I think we're close. Transfer-wise, wasn't too many casualties, although we did lose Ollie Watkins. He went to Spurs, unfortunately, this summer, so that's kind of a bit of a loss. And then after that, another £74 million went out, but it was kind of players that wasn't actually in our first team. Players coming in, we signed Kyle George, kind of was like a £15 million sign. It's not too bad, I guess. And Emil Smith-Rowe came in for £32 million. Not bad value for how good he is attribute-wise. Another guy here, Pandolfo, was signed. Left winger, new gen, 18 years old. So that's quite interesting. However, let's have a look then. Our schedule. We have finally got Real Madrid in the game, and we've got Manchester City. This could be the season where we steal some of the world's best players. So fingers crossed we can get it done, starting off with our fixture against PSV. And Luis Enrique is kicking things off with a nice win. You can see he's going for a 4-3-3, kind of standard to what he was doing at like Barcelona, but with Zaire Emery, Kamara, and Rice in that midfield. That's quite good. If you're looking at what we're weak on, really, it is the striker and the left winger. I would say is the only two positions there that really need somebody better. So this could be quite interesting. But a win against PSV, we need to steal a player. There's not a lot of options. I'm going to go with Joey Veerman as a good backup option for that centre midfield. And he's probably their best player as well. He's quite well-rounded. So I quite like the look of Joey Veerman. Let's go for him. It is Real Madrid up next, though. I'm getting quite nervous now. Dortmund after is going to be a bit of a weird one because we've just stolen one of their best players. So unless they bought anybody good in the transfer window, it's kind of going to be pointless. Oh, it's so close. 1-1 at the Bernabeu. The most annoying thing about this is Sheldrup scored for Real Madrid, and that is a player that we almost picked from Benfica, but we didn't go for him in the end. And I just think, why did we just pick him up? Because that £49 million move wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have scored against us. Oh, it's just frustrating, right? All the players that we could have got there. They got Vinicius Jr., Osimhen, Bellingham, Tchouameni, Diomande at centre-back. Never mind. Well, Luis Enrique's on a run. That's 3 wins in a row now in the Champions League, and Karim Adeyemi scored against his former club in the 2-0 win, which means we get to steal a player from each of these 3 sides. However, I'm like, well, if there's nobody good enough to steal, I'm not going to steal him anymore. It's just kind of pointless. I'll have a look, and if I decide that there's a player in any of these 3 teams worthy enough of stealing, I'll do so, but I'm more focused on that Manchester City game that's up next. Of all 3 clubs, I didn't expect to steal one of the Fenerbahce players, but here we are. Szymanski, I'm going to steal him. He looks quite good. A good backup, I think, because his pace and strength is nowhere near, but everywhere else looks quite good. Oh, no. Oh, you could have really done with beating Man City. The guy I would have stolen just scored a hat-trick against us, Erling Haaland. I mean, that would have been an obvious pick. Him or Mbappe. Probably more Mbappe because he can also play from the left when we got Adeyemi. But we go again, guys. We go again. Aston Villa still have a few fixtures left. Probably won't steal anybody from Dinamo Zagreb. Fiorentina, I'd have to look at the side. It just means we can hopefully get into the knockouts because right now we're doing okay. We're in 6th place. We managed to beat Dinamo Zagreb 1-0. Drew to Fiorentina 0-0. Still have to worry about stealing a player there, but Champions League phase, finish in the top 7, which meant that we... Actually, Besiktas has done well, haven't they? Which means that we go into the round of 16 and not just in the knockout playoffs. So we're 1 step closer to winning the Champions League. I keep saying we... Villa are 1 step closer. I feel like I'm part of them now, but there we go. I mean, Luis Enrique's doing a cracking job. They're in 2nd place in the Premier League as well. They're only 2 points behind Manchester City with the game in hand. They could jump them and go into the lead there. The round of 16 is against Benfica. The first leg finished 0-0. Oh, we need to progress. Come on, Villa. Oh, I can't believe that. What are you doing to me, Villa? How have they had... No, watch this. 19 shots, 9 on target to Benfica's 1, and they couldn't score a goal. With this team, and I'm not being funny, that is an unbelievable side, against a very bang average Benfica team, then I would struggle to pick a player to steal. How has that happened? Season 5 it is. Like, what is this season? 82 points to 82. Oh, Villa, we're so close. Highest average rating was Bukayo Saka as well, but Mbappe's the top scorer. Exactly the same win-loss draw ratio. Like, that is mental. Oh. At least we qualify for the Champions League. We don't lose any players. We don't have to worry about a 6th season just yet. We can hopefully win it in 5. Please. Luis Enrique, who seems to be staying at the club. Alright, so a couple of players have left the club. Bissek's gone for £39 million. That's not too bad. Pau Torres actually left, which kind of, like, worries me a little bit. Matt O'Reilly hilariously went back to Celtic. When you look at it like that. Looks very silly. And then Paulinho and Samu both left to go to Tottenham. We did bring in David Fratese, though, as a free transfer, so that is actually an unbelievable signing. He is phenomenal right now. Thiago Almeida, or Mada. People always have a go at me about how I say it. I can't remember which one is right. Almada, I think, is the correct one. But he's joined on a free transfer from Botafogo. And Romeo Lavia, even, is another good centre mid pick that we've got there for Luis Enrique, who is still at the club, and the side is looking rather strong. Not a lot of options there. I'd say probably at centre back is where you'd really look to change things up, but Hato's doing an okay job. Marin is not too bad either. Rafa Marin. Ronald Araujo's kind of like gone to right back, so maybe that's like an option. A right back or a centre back is probably where I'd go, as well as maybe a striker. Adeyemi's good, but is he a goal scorer? I don't think so. So that's where I'm looking at right now for Aston Villa. And there's a lot of options for us to get in this Champions League phase. We've got Milan, Juve, and Barcelona. 3 clubs that I think could have a player for us in there. Sporting and Ajax as well. Going to be an interesting season. And it is a very good start defeating AC Milan. Although I do think that is a bit of a kit clash. Like, you can't have their kit, like, being, like, very close to the Aston. Like, that's not right. That shouldn't happen. You deserve to have a player stolen from you, AC Milan. Thomas Tuchel, who has Rafael Leao, who could play up front or from the left-hand side. Pulisic is also there too, but centre-back option is what we mentioned. Gonzalo Inacio is a very good option who could go straight in at left-sided centre-back. But it's more the right-hand side, actually, that we kind of need, or a right-back. And I did notice that they had Michael Coyote. Hasn't really developed. That's a bit of a shame. What about striker-wise, then? Do you have a good striker? Dovbik's in there. Jonathan David hasn't really developed. I think it's got to be Leao, isn't it? Am I being stupid if I don't pick Leao? He just fractured his upper arm as well in the same game against us. I actually think we don't go for him. Look at that in there, and I don't think we go for him. I think we go for Gonzalo Inacio. It's a left-footed one, which we don't necessarily need, but let's go for it. He's a better centre-back than what we've got. Comes in, goes straight into the first team. Gonzalo Inacio puts us in good stead to face Juventus in the next game. Unfortunately, though, that is not a win. We drew 1-1 with Juventus in a game which we could have stolen to Debo or Bremer, which would have been 2 good options, I guess. They have a striker. Kenan Yildiz is usually quite good. He's not bad on this. Chiesa's probably even better. Yeah, I probably would have gone for Chiesa. Look, Chiesa looks unbelievable on this. It's a chance wasted. But after stealing Barcelona's best centre-back last time we played them, we've managed to beat them the second time around, beating them 3-2. Somehow, I mean, Andre Podolfo actually got the winner in the 91st minute, which, if you remember correctly, is the sign-in that I think Luis Enrique made not so long ago, the young 20-year-old, which means we get to steal a player. And I can't believe I didn't think of this before, but Lamine Yamal is there, and I'm just like, oh, should we steal Lamine Yamal? I mean, Bruno Fernandes is also there. He's a really good option, 34 years old now. Vitor Roque scored 2 goals against us. He's a really good striker. Ansu Fati's also a really good striker, can play on both wings. But I cannot deny that picking Lamine Yamal is not intriguing. But then would he play? That's the trouble. We're not playing him. Like, if I was in charge, I would play him. Right back is João Mario, so that's not an option I really want. Jules Koundé actually plays right back quite well. Does benefit the team. Ansu Fati is a better striker than Adeyemi. And I'm going to go for Ansu Fati. He would come in. Hopefully he would play instead of Adeyemi. Up front, it's a gamble. That is a gamble. I'll give you that. It's got to the point now where we just can't even improve our sides. Like, I've beaten Red Star, Galatasaray. We've just beaten Ajax, and I can't find a player that I think would be good enough to just join the side. There's no point in taking Natsu Univai. He's not going to join the side and make a difference. Gravenberch is kind of the only one. I'm just going to put Gravenberch in the side, but I don't think... Maybe he makes an appearance off the bench, and it'll be worth it, I guess. But yeah, that was like literally the only option that I thought we could have. And Villa are storming through the Champions League, only only 2 points dropped to Juve. They beat Wolfsburg 8-0. I mean, Wolfsburg, do they have anybody that I would want to steal? The Crow, actually. Yeah, let's steal a Crow. I haven't stolen a player from them yet. We'll go with Maxence Le Crow. He's a decent centre-back option. That's a nice pickup. And then finally is Sporting. I guess mainly the players that I would have stolen had gone a few seasons back. There's a couple of good options, though. Marcus Edwards. Bad choice as like a backup, I guess. Do they have any strikers that would be worth picking up? Not really. I mean, Trincao can kind of play there. Let's just go with Trincao. Trincao's probably the best option there. We'll go with him, move to our club. Knockouts, straight into the round of 16 as well. Right now as well, as we get to March, Aston Villa are top of the Premier League, which is good to see. They're just slightly ahead of Manchester City. We still can't beat in the Champions League. And we have our fixtures, and it's Atletico Madrid. We've drawn the first game 0-0. Now, a trip in the second, if we do manage to win it, would be very interesting because there's a couple of players in there that I definitely think could add to this Aston Villa side. Julian Alvarez might be one to just go for straight off the bat. Good striker who can play in behind. I think that's actually a really good option. They've also got Konsa, who they signed from us a couple of seasons back. Maybe just bring him back instead. No, I'll probably go for Alvarez. And we do pick up a very comfortable win. Zaire Emery scoring 2 goals, which is great. Now, they've actually got Lukaku as well, but I'm not going to go for Lukaku. He's coming towards the end of his career. He's actually retiring at the end of this season. So on the off chance that we need to go for a 6th season or further, then there's no point in taking him. So I think Julio Alvarez is a better option to go to. Moving to this club, Aston Villa, he might even start in front of Adeyemi. I don't know whether he will start him or not. Luis Enrique seems to like... Oh, he's actually been playing Ansu Fati quite a lot, actually. But I did notice recently that Adeyemi was getting a fair amount of starts and scoring some goals too. Kyle George is coming off the bench quite a lot. Oh, injured. That's the reason why. He's out injured, and he's been injured for the last 3 or so weeks. So it's actually quite a good pickup then, because Adeyemi, although he was... playing quite a lot. It's not exactly a big scorer. 2 goals in 20 appearances in the Premier League. It's absolutely dog poo. And wouldn't you know, it's our old pals Arsenal again in the quarterfinals. We've already stolen Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice. And I wouldn't mind stealing another one. Yes, it's a great win for Aston Villa. Actually, we beat them in both legs. But I'm only stealing 1 player. I don't think it would be a bit unfair if I stole 2 players despite beating them twice. Jurgen Klopp can suck it because I've just beaten him and now I get to steal potentially somebody who might go on and win the Champions League for us. Gabriel Martinelli is bloody good in this, but it'd be a bit stupid really to pick that up. I think William Saliba is probably a much better option. We've stolen Saka, we've stolen Declan Rice, and now we've stolen William Saliba from Arsenal. That is exactly what I was hoping for. There we go. Right, okay, good. Now... we go through to the next round, and I mean, we're only in 4th place in the Premier League. It's still up for grabs, but I don't think we can win the Premier League now. It's semi-final, and it's PSG. This could be it. Aston Villa in the final, and it is against Real Madrid. PSG, we beat them in both fixtures, and we should be. We've got an unbelievable team. We finally get to pinch one last player there from PSG, so going into that final, I think we almost picked him last time. I think we've got to go for... just checking other players because Joe Neves is always quite an interesting one, isn't he? But I think we've definitely got to go for Jamal Musiala. I don't know whether he'll play in the final because of registration, whether Aston Villa will be able to do that. I have it selected that they should be able to. We'll have to find out. But this Aston Villa team now is looking absolutely unbelievable. Ansu Fati's been a bit of a breath of fresh air. He's come into the side and rejuvenated it. Frattesi is the top scorer, though, which is a bit strange. 20 goals there from him, but there we go. So, is this team good enough to beat Real Madrid, who we have yet to beat in this whole experiment, and pinch one of their players? Let's find out. And we are doing this the right way. We are attending this cup final to see if Aston Villa can make history and get the job done. Alright, so the lineups, we've got Omar Rodion playing up front. Interesting. Sule, Frattesi, Rice, Adeyemi. Kamara's in there still from the original side. That's good to see. And Nacio's actually starting. But this Real Madrid team is still scary. They've still got Osimhen, Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. Bellingham's still there. Caicedo's in the midfield. Yeah, this isn't exactly a poor Real Madrid side, is it? Let's face it. This might be the most boring Champions League final ever. There hasn't been a shot yet, and we are close to halftime. I don't think that's glitched. I think that's just been the most terrible... We are about to go into halftime without a shot. There's genuinely not been a shot. Like, surely the extra time can't... Right, a first shot immediately in the second half. And we actually have our first highlight. There we go. Right. Can we win this? Fratesi, by the way, picked up a yellow card. That's a red card. Get him off. Straight red card, please. Oh, that's made it very interesting now. What are they doing? So they've gone to a narrow diamond. Oh, come on. See, this is where it's like, if I was manager, play it down the wings. But I'm not. But Ronald Araujo, it looks like we have been doing that. He is clearing the ball into the box. Lunin has punched it. Adeyemi's picked up the ball. He hasn't been known for his goals, but can he pick up a very valuable one or an assist here? It's a good play. Have a shot. Have a shot. Oh, it's a terrible effort. This always cracks me up because the AI will now like flick around. You just see this all the time. Just constantly moving him from one position to another. Changes might start to happen now as well, especially from the players who are playing terrible. We've got a corner ball. Declan Rice whips it in. Ronald Araujo, come on! The ex-Barcelona player scoring against Real Madrid in the 77th minute of the Champions League. Oh, that's unbelievable. What a header. What a header. Could that be the goal that helps Aston Villa win the Champions League? Since the first time since 1982, by the way, when it was named the European Cup. We went through a spell in England where we won loads in a row. I think it was like 4 or 5 in a row with Forest, Villa and Liverpool. And then we were banned for a while in England from even entering European competitions. That's offside, surely. That's got to be... Yes, thank you very much, linesman. Marcus Thuram, you are offside, son. So get yourself back into position, because Diogo Costa is going to take a free kick. Oh, there's another highlight before. This is a little bit worrying, but getting a second now, and we can just party on until the final whistle. Fratesi, who's been on a yellow card since the 6th minute, by the way, which has kind of been worrying. Kamara, the one Aston Villa player still left in the first 11, I think. Adeyemi, Declan Rice. Oh, that's a good ball. Urel Hato, Adeyemi. Oh, the football is unbelievable. Emile Smith-Rowe for Aston Villa. Gets it across. Declan Rice. Fratesi! That's it. Surely that's it. Aston Villa are going to go on and win and lift the European Cup, the Champions League. That is a great finish too. That's got to be it. It's done. There you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video where we went and accomplished our goal of Aston Villa winning the Champions League. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Get us to 150k and check out this video right here, because Bordeaux are in so much trouble right now, and I've took them on in the 4th tier with a bankrupt club and no players whatsoever. Have a watch.